I'm 76 years old, and if I could go back and warn my younger self about one thing, it wouldn't be about money or career choices or any of the things you might expect. It would be this: stop waiting for permission to live the life you actually want. I know that sounds simple, maybe even obvious, but I didn't understand what it meant until I was already decades past the point where it could have changed everything. When I was in my 20s and 30s, I had this idea in my head that there was a right way to do things, a proper order. You worked hard, you proved yourself, you waited your turn, and then eventually you got to do what you really wanted. That was the deal. That's what responsible people did. So I waited. I worked a job I didn't hate, but never loved, because it was stable, because it made sense, because people respected it. I told myself I'd do something different later, once I had enough saved, once I had more experience, once the timing was better. I put off travel because there would be time for that after I retired. I didn't take the photography class I wanted to take because it seemed frivolous when I should be focused on advancing at work. I didn't reach out to old friends because I was busy, and I figured we'd reconnect someday when things calmed down. I didn't ask the woman I was seeing to marry me for 3 years because I wanted to be more financially secure first. When I finally did, she said yes. We had a good marriage, but those 3 years, I can't get them back. And near the end, when she was sick, she told me she'd wished I'd asked sooner. Not because it would have changed anything practical, just because she would have had more years being my wife instead of my girlfriend. That stayed with me. I thought I was being smart, being careful, doing things the right way. But what I was really doing was living like I had endless time to course correct later. My father died when I was 42. Sudden heart attack. He was 67. I'd been meaning to take a trip with him for years, just the two of us, maybe to see the national parks out west. We'd talked about it every Christmas. Next summer, we'd say, we'll finally do it next summer. We never did. After he died, I found a notebook in his workshop where he'd written down ideas for the trip. Places he wanted to stop, things he wanted to show me. He'd been planning it too. He'd just been waiting for me to have the time. I had the time. I'd always had the time. I just didn't treat it like it mattered. And that's the thing I didn't understand when I was younger. Time doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It doesn't pause while you get your life in order. It just goes. And the people you love age and get sick and die while you're still figuring out when the right moment will be. I'm not saying I wasted my whole life. I didn't. I had good years. I have memories I'm grateful for, but there's so much I didn't do. And it wasn't because I couldn't. It was because I kept thinking I needed permission. Permission from my boss to take time off. Permission from society to do something impractical. Permission from some future version of myself who had it all figured out. That future version never showed up. When my wife got diagnosed, we had about 18 months. The first few months, she still felt okay, and we made plans. We were going to take that trip to Ireland we'd always talked about. We were going to spend more time with our daughter and grandson. We were going to do all the things we'd been putting off. But cancer doesn't care about your plans. She got sicker faster than we expected. We never made it to Ireland. We barely made it out of the house by the end. And I sat next to her hospital bed thinking about all the dinners we didn't have because I worked late. All the weekends we didn't take because it seemed irresponsible. All the little moments I traded for things that don't matter at all now. I don't tell you this to make you feel bad. I tell you because I wish someone had grabbed me by the shoulders when I was 30 and said, "The life you want to live, start living it now, not when you've saved enough, not when you've proven yourself, not when it's convenient, now." Because you don't know how much time you have. You don't know how much time the people you love have. And you can't go back and reclaim the years you spent waiting for some imaginary green light. I see younger people now, and I recognize the same pattern. They talk about the things they'll do someday, the trips they'll take when they have more money, the hobbies they'll start when they're less busy, the people they'll spend time with once things settle down. Things don't settle down, they just change. And then you're 76 and your wife is gone and your father has been dead for 34 years and you're sitting alone in a house that's too quiet, wishing you'd cared less about doing things the right way and more about doing them at all. I'm not saying quit your job and abandon all responsibility. That's not what this is about. I'm saying pay attention to what you're postponing. Ask yourself if you're waiting because you genuinely can't do something yet, or because you're scared, or because you think you need permission, or because it doesn't fit the timeline you decided was proper. Most of the time, it's not the timing that's wrong. It's just that you're afraid of looking foolish, afraid of doing it wrong, afraid of what people will think. But I promise you, when you're my age, you won't regret the things you tried that didn't work out. You'll regret the things you never tried at all. You'll regret the calls you didn't make, the trips you didn't take, the person you didn't tell you loved them, the dreams you filed away under someday and never looked at again. I spent decades waiting for permission to live, and nobody ever gave it to me. Because that's not how it works. You have to give it to yourself. And if you wait too long, you run out of time. I don't have many years left, maybe 5, maybe 10 if I'm lucky, and I've finally stopped waiting. I take walks every morning. I visit my daughter even when it's not convenient. I started painting, which I always wanted to do and always thought I'd be bad at. I am bad at it, but I do it anyway because it makes me happy, and I don't need anyone's permission for that anymore. I just wish I'd figured that out 40 years ago. So if you're reading this and you're young enough that you still have time, really have time, please don't wait. Don't wait until you're older or richer or thinner or braver. Don't wait until everything is perfect, because it never will be. Just start. Start now. Tell the people you love that you love them. Take the trip, make the call, do the thing that scares you, not because you might regret it if you don't, but because you will. I did, and I can't go back.